Retro Hangover is supported via Patreon by listeners like you. We would especially like to thank patrons Lyle McCarnes, Randall Quiggle, Tony G, Studstill Smash the Milkman, Tom the Superhero, Raging Demon, Mass Keaton, Lucas from Game Over Hell, Ozzy Garcia, JC, Megan Caruso, Lunchbox, aka the Disgruntled Gamer, Rick Firestone, Dave Jackson, Jenny E, Retro Overdrive, Soha, the Emperor, Storm Beagle, Matt, aka Stormageddon, B. Ross and Van Fernal from Super Garbage Day, Keith Gasper, the Retro Vixen, Eric Guess, Nomad from the Retro Wildlands podcast, Eshevent, Alan Bingham, Mike the Ref from Backbreaker Gaming, Ryan, Player One, Low 5 Alex, Alt, Renner Dreaming, Omi, and Makeshift Money. Your continued engagement and generous donations are deeply appreciated. Welcome to The Flights, a consumable curation of champions and catastrophes that is considerate of your chronometer. Guess what? It's a new year. Same premise. We count down 5 things, but that means we need to start getting into our of the year shows. So it's myself, Chris, as you all know from the Retro Hangover podcast. I would hope so. This is the channel that it is on. And as always, I am joined by Shane dropping those beautiful New York balls, Dick Dragon cell tear. How's it going, Shane?
Going pretty good. Did you know, and I maybe you knew this, I don't know, but like there are different things that drop like around the country. Like, did you know that like Georgia drops a giant illuminated peach instead of a ball?
That would make sense.
Yeah, apparently
peanuts,
this is a thing. Like major cities around the country have their own like thing. Like there was one, was it like Alabama or something, drops some moon pie, and I'm like, okay, sure. Like another place drops an M&M. Like it's just like whatever is important to, like Idaho drops a fucking potato.
Yeah. Does Jacksonville drop a new album by Limp Bizkit?
God, I wish. No. Actually, I think there is a new one coming if it hasn't released already. They're having a bit of a comeback these days.
Oh, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. We dropped the new album.
Hell yeah.
I'm a prophet. Probably not. That's probably public information. Anyway, this is going to be our first of the year show, the Gorpies, as we call them. So in 2 weeks, you're going to get our best games that we played in 2024, our game of the years, the official Gorpies. But this topic was voted on by our patrons for our other top 5 list for of the year, and they chose to go with negativity. Must have been one of those years. They chose to go with the worst games that we reviewed in 2024. So these aren't games that we played on our own to the side. These aren't games that we played for RFRs, or I played for RFRs. Sorry, Shane. And a little bit of dirt. But these are games that we played specifically for the show. This does not, as far as I know, I don't know what your list is, but not King of Games either. This is our HP
Yes.
Mainline shows. So, Shane, I'll let you kick this one off. What's your number 5 game for the worst game that we have reviewed?
Number 5.
I feel like I need to preface the rest of this episode by saying that contrary to what one might expect, we actually didn't review a lot of like objectively bad games in 2024. So the things that are on my list, and I think this is the same for Chris, are not necessarily games that we would consider bad. Some of them are, but more like the worst of the bunch, because we had a pretty good year, and actually, a little bit of spoilers, but 2025 is shaping up to be a banger. So I'm just saying, patrons, you might not want to choose this topic again at the end of 2025. But anyway,
Or do it could be spicy,
or it'll be just real short. It'll be like one game. But my number 5 is going to be Okami, and that is because it was just disappointing to me. I enjoyed, and if you listen to the episode, then you know my thoughts about it, but I enjoyed the first bit of it, and I felt like it overstayed its welcome. It's like the Symphony of the Night problem, in that it's too long. I think there was a natural conclusion that it came to narratively, and I feel like that was fine. And everything after that just felt unnecessary to me. And so it was kind of a drag. And so I wished for a much more succinct experience, and I kind of made it for myself in that way because I did not finish the game. So for all intents and purposes, it ended right around where I would have wanted it to. And I feel like that is the right Okami experience. As much as I love the game's art style and the gameplay, and even the characters, I think are really charming. It was just too much, maybe too much of a good thing, perhaps. Maybe we could put it that way.
Yeah, to say Symphony of the Night syndrome, it's way more pronounced than that game.
True.
It's like there's 3 games. It was meant to be 3 games, and they just made it 1, because that's how it definitely feels. So like when I saw Okami 2 is coming, I'm like, why? They told the entire story already. Like, there's more story. Oh God. Yeah, I feel you there. All right, my number 5 is Thief, the Dark Project. I think I was really hemming and hawing about whether or not I wanted to move this up, but I think there's times when I can sit back and realize a game is not for me. And there was a time when it was really good, because there were times of brilliance in this game, and I just know I don't like PC first person shooters as a whole. But that's the reason System Shock 2 almost ended up on this list. It did not, because I kept it off because, like, you know what, I can definitely see the redeeming factors, and that's why Thief comes in at number 5. I still hate the control scheme. I think the AI is dumb as fuck. And but sometimes that's charming, but overall it was such a slog. Gameplay wasn't fun most of the time, but the thing is that you're supposed to spend most of your time like running around and hiding, and I can admit I didn't do a very good job of that. I also wish that was more easily playable on Steam without modding it. That too. I think you can move a little bit faster without the mod for some reason if you're walking. I don't know. It was a problem. It probably should be higher, but again, it's one of those internal concessions. This is all subjective. I think we all know this, that I just couldn't put it up higher, and hopefully I can explain that later on my list. So yeah, number 5 for me is Thief.
Number 4.
Well, I suppose that functions as a pretty good segue into my number 4, or perhaps my number 4 is simply a continuation, because it is Thief, the Dark Project, at my number 4 spot. And I'm starting to feel like this is more like the disappointed dad list, because I feel like with my number 5 and my number 4, I'm just like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And that's kind of how I feel about Thief as well. It's just like, by all accounts, it should be a game that I really like. It should be something that is totally my speed, and it just wasn't. And unlike Okami, as I mentioned in the episode recently, it's more about, I guess, my expectations going into it. So you could say that part of that is maybe my fault. I went in with some preconceived notions, and maybe I shouldn't have. I don't know. But I wanted it to be more of a straight up sneaky boy, steal the MacGuffin, knock out guards, find ways to get around a manor in Victorian England without being spotted kind of thing. And it wasn't. It very quickly went into this just fucking weird occult supernatural zombie striking deals with demons vibe, and it was not what I was looking for from a game like that. So that's why it's my number 4 is like I didn't mind so much the gameplay and everything. Like I think I was fine with that because I grew up on early PC titles like this. So it wasn't as big a deal to me necessarily. And also to be fair, I played the GOG version, which is better. um, but other than that, yeah, it was not what I wanted from it. So
Yeah. Moving on, some more disappointment, as you stated, and I'm not going to cover more Thief. We talked about that too much, and I said my piece on it. So, moving on to my number 4 is Ark the Lad. And my problem with it, it was so boring. It was just boring.
Yeah.
I don't know why, I played through the entirety of it. I think just personal pride. But I was like, man, this is something going to happen. Like the battle system isn't all that interesting. The leveling system isn't interesting. The tactics aren't all that interesting. The much vaunted soundtrack isn't really all that special. I was just like, I am just bored to tears. I just want this game to end. I don't like the balance. There's so much I just was like, I don't like, even at the time, I don't understand why it was considered to be so highly ranked, because you had the Shining Force games and the Fire Emblem games were very real games in the same genre that were vastly superior to this. But it was popular in Japan. It has its reputation. It just doesn't ring with me. Does it? Absolutely not. I find it to be a dredge. So my number 4 is Ark the Lad.
Yeah, the funny thing about that one is going over the list of all the games that we talked about in 2024, this was one of the ones that I was just like, I literally remember nothing about this. Like,
Right.
like I know we talked about it. I played it. I don't remember a damn thing.
No.
Alrighty.
Ringing endorsement, everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 3.
All right, moving into the middle of the pack, I have Golden Axe.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, this might have been higher, I don't know, but I think the other two kind of take precedence, but it's just it's one of those things that like everybody has at least some awareness of if you've even tangentially been involved in video games or have heard about games or walked by an arcade at some point. Like I'm sure you've probably heard the name Golden Axe. And so it has this like this might be harsh. I don't know. It almost has this like unearned level of like gravitas when you say it, because people are like, oh yeah, I know Golden Axe. Like it's not that fucking good. Like, and it never was. Like it's real clunky. And I know, it was the time, whatever, but it's just, it doesn't feel good to play. It really doesn't. And as a game that sort of in a genre that really does live or die by its gameplay feel, if it doesn't feel good to play a side scrolling beat 'em up, then like, what the fuck are you even doing? You're not really there for a story usually. The only thing I could say about it, and this is something we mentioned when we reviewed it, I did like the graphics. I think some of the bigger sprite work for like the special abilities, like the dragon, is really fucking cool. And so there's some good things going on there. It's always fun to punt the little gnome guys. That's cathartic, if nothing else. But other than that, it's not really that good. And there's so many better examples of this kind of game. Like I said it at least once before, but obviously we're operating on, having the advantage of talking about this, in the hindsight, I guess. But like, fucking play Chronicles of Mystara. Like that is Golden Axe, but like good. So there you go.
Much better. Yeah. Not really much of a comparison in terms of the quality there.
No.
Yeah. Golden Axe was really close to making my list, but it's one of those
this game is so stupid. I love it.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like, oh man, this reminds me of simpler days when we tolerated with more bullshit. That was the that's kind of the feeling I got walking away from Golden Axe. So it missed the cut, just barely. But speaking of not wanting to tolerate your bullshit, my number 3 is going to be a little bit of a spicy one. I'm probably going to get some skill issue claims. I'm probably going to get a you just hate this game for hating on it, whatever. And again, once again, like we said, subjectively hard to call this game bad, but I did not like it. I did not like my time with it, and that game is Donkey Kong Country 2: Diddy's Kong Quest. Because I think sometimes you get away from a game for so many years and you get out of a genre, you get out of a trend, you get out of just whatever the fad is of the day that everyone's really into. And then you separate yourself from that for years, and then you go back to it. And you know, you've told people that this game is a masterpiece in the interim because you remember loving it as a kid, and other people all agree and they nod and they're like, yeah, it's really good. And then all of a sudden you start playing a game like Diddy's Kong Quest, and it's like, this level design just, it's not fair, and it fucking hates you. Like there is no way to play this game if you've never played it before, unless you're like some super god of video games, and not just get wrecked over and over and over again because the levels are designed to just fuck with you. I know that that's kind of something that people who play Dark Souls might like. Like, oh, there's an unexpected thing over here. I gotta die to it a million times before I overcome it. But I feel like platformers shouldn't be that way. It should be more based on, hey, here's an obstacle in front of you that you can see and you have time to process. Use your skill to get around it. And for the most part, Donkey Kong Country 2 does that. But there are just too many instances where I'm like, there's no fucking way to figure this out unless you do it repeatedly and you memorize it over and over again. And it does it in like some of the most bullshit ways, with levels that just get too big, a currency system to save your game for some reason, all sorts of weird little hints and tips and all. It's such a cumbersome experience. It's such a deflating experience. And like, there's no reason that I could recall why you'd want to use Diddy often whatsoever, because he can't fly. So it's like, you have one OP character and you have one character that just happens to climb ropes faster, which, yeah, from time to time it's an advantage. I walked away from that feeling like this bitter taste in my mouth. I could not imagine how I was so much better at this game when I was a kid and I enjoyed it. And then I just came out of this when I was like, thank God for save states, or else I would have like cracked my Wii U over my knee. So yeah, Donkey Kong Country 2 is my number 3.
Number 2.
All right, number 2. I don't know. I don't think this is really like a hot take at all. I mean, I don't know. You might be slightly offended, but my penultimate pick is Sonic Adventure. What do I say about this game?
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like it gets a lot of praise that maybe it doesn't deserve, because it was that time, you know, and it was like, oh, things are 3D now. Isn't that crazy? This game controls like hot ass. Like it sucks to play. It's very fidgety. It's twitchy, but like not in like a Counter-Strike first person Twitch mode, like twitchy as in I touched the analog stick or what the fuck ever, and like somehow Sonic rocketed into the stratosphere. That kind of bullshit. And it's just a broken game. Like it's finishable. You can complete it. We did, but like not without much consternation and frustration, because you will be running along a track which is more or less on rails, kind of. It actually would be better if it was on rails, because then you wouldn't fall the fuck off all the time. But like Sonic will just gravitate, like there's a fucking gravitational anomaly on the track somewhere for no fucking reason, and just slide off and then fall through the world, or like I said, go Skyrim mode and get launched into space. And it's real rough. Like, and let's not even talk about the facial animations. They're hilariously bad when the characters are talking in cutscenes. And as someone who's not like a huge Sonic fan, like I don't give a shit about that. Like, I like Sonic ironically at best most of the time. So like, it's not a good game. Like, I would say Sonic Adventure 2, and eventually we'll talk about this, I'm sure. Still not great, but an improvement on almost every count. And yeah, man, like there are times when it's fun, I guess, but there are way more times where it's just an exercise in frustration. And I don't care what anybody says. The whole Big and the cat and Froggy thing can get fucked. Like, that is terrible.
You're dead to me.
That's fine. I'll die on this hill.
Oh God, you're number 2. I hate you.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than Golden Axe.
I don't know about that.
All right, my number 2 is also probably going to be spicy for Shane.
Well, see, there you go.
So
At least we're even.
Throwing some spice at each other. I don't think he's going to take this as harshly as I took his Sonic Adventure, though I do recognize Sonic Adventure is not a very good game in terms of its gameplay. It gets me in the feels all the time. So I do have a lot of fun with it. I think it's a very fun game, but that's just me. Anyway, my number 2 also has a 2 in the title, a second 2.
Oh no.
Second sequel. And it's Doom 2.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something else. That I actually agree with that more than I thought.
What do you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say Half-Life 2, and I was going to be like, you are objectively incorrect.
No, there's no. I really liked Half-Life 2.
Okay.
If I had beaten it, it might be on another list we'd be talking about here soon, but I did not beat it, unfortunately. But yeah, Doom 2. I also did not beat Doom 2 because I got sick of its shit. I got so sick of its shit. I was having a decent time for the first few levels, and then it's like, hey, here's a city. Go navigate the city. Like, no. Like, where am I going? What is this? And that was just the level after they had this like giant maze, megalithic, I wouldn't call it a city, but like just various entrances and stuff. It's like, I am so lost. I don't know where I'm going. This is overly complicated. I just want to shoot demons on Mars or Earth, I guess. That's all I want to do. Why are you trying to make me think? I can't look up and down with spatial platforming and shit. Like, this is not fun. I'm very bored. I'm very frustrated. I'm being taken out of my demon slaying experience. I'm very upset and disappointed. I try so much to get into the Doom games. The first Doom game is really fucking good. And I was looking for more of that. And I got disappointment. I think that's the underlying theme of this year's worst review games of 2024. It's just disappointment. Well, not number 1. I think that's just, we knew what we were getting into there. But yeah, that's Doom 2 for me.
I can't really disagree much with you. There's a reason when I go and play Doom on an almost annual basis, it is not Doom 2. There's a reason for that.
The best thing about Doom 2 is never the game, it's the mods.
Pretty much.
Number 1.
Okay, so we're at the number 1. Can we just do you want me to like count down and we'll just say it together? Like, do we want to do that?
Yeah, we'll do the Master System Flight Redux here because I think this one is obvious.
All right,
so yeah, go ahead and give us a countdown.
All right,
Shane.
so 3, 2, 1, the name. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hellboy, Asylum Seeker. Yeah, okay, there it is. Yeah, this game is a fucking dumpster fire. Thank you, Lyle, once again, for recommending trash in video game form. We appreciate your input. And it's a bummer, kinda, right? Because like Hellboy as an IP is pretty cool. Like, there's a lot to like there. A lot of people do. And this does not do it justice at all. I think the only thing I really unironically enjoyed about this game was the thing that I named the episode after, which was tossing that old lady through a window. I think that was the most fun I had with this game.
Yeah, it's bad. It's this is the only, I mean, I think this is a game that people would say is objectively bad.
Yeah.
There's no redeeming this. Like maybe the best thing about this game is get yourself a case of beer, 4 friends, make sure the beer is like high ABV, 6+, get hammered and play this game. Because you'll be like, can you physically do that? No, you can't, but you can in this game. It's a marvel how this game does not work and how some of these graphical effects do not exist. It is horrible. And it's my fault, by the way. Yeah, you can thank Lyle all you want. He just gave me the inspiration. You can fault him for the inspiration because he did want this game. He'd been putting it on his Patreon list for a while, and I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it for Lyle. And I don't want to say I regret it because every once in a while you got to play a game that reminds you why good games are good. So thank you, Hellboy, and thank you for being my #1 worst game that we reviewed this year.
Yes, thank you for being a palate cleanser, I guess, in a weird backwards way.
Yeah, you did a great job at being bad.
Hey. All right, well, there you have it. Our top worst games that we reviewed on the show this year. Like I said, all things considered, it was not a bad year. Well, at least in terms of video games we played. Yeah, so most of these were just like, man, I kind of wish this game could have been better. Except for Hellboy. There's no redeeming qualities there. But
no.
But anyway,
we hope the developer went back to school.
Changed careers. So anyway, we I suppose we should probably take this time. I don't know. We'll probably say it again in the next one in the Gorpies, but we just, want to thank y'all for sticking around for this year, especially our patrons. We quite literally probably could not do this without you. So we just are very appreciative, even if you do have bad taste in games sometimes, but we love you anyway. And, we look forward to 2025 and, all of that's going to bring. I'm hoping that we don't have enough to fill another worst games of the year list, but I guess we'll see. Anything could happen. I don't know, Chris, what anything you want to throw out there before we kind of do our little thing here and wrap things up?
Yeah, I just also want to say thank you to all the patrons. Like Shane said, you are the reason we continue to do this. You're wholly responsible for keeping this train wreck afloat. That makes no sense there, but we are a floating train wreck. however you want to make that work. But we're doing it, and we're doing it because of all of you. And yeah, I don't know what next year's topic's going to be. Thank you for this topic. As part of the Gorpies, probably get something weird next year. Like, I don't know. I don't even want to guess. We'll get something fun. But yeah, even looking at the list for this upcoming year, there's one obvious one that's going to be at the top of the list right now. But I'm not going to say what that is yet. But yeah, thank you all, and stop by our streams, 9 p.m. Eastern time, either on YouTube or on Twitch, and hope to see you there.
All right.
I'm going to leave it with that.
Yeah, there you go. So this might be the most succinct plug at the end, but go to our Linktree, Linktree/Retro Hangover. All our stuff's there. You should check it out if you haven't already. And with all of that being said, until the next flight,
play with your, it wasn't so bad joysticks.